We're at the IAS meeting in Amsterdam. We're here with Greg Tartaglione from MPact, and you just completed a press conference. There was a series of, in fact, there's one going on now, I believe, on criminalization of HIV, which has been, I would almost say it's a theme of the conference because it certainly was impactful over the course of a number of presentations, including Elton John, who spoke, I don't know, were you at the press conference?
Yes.
Yeah, it was pretty profound. Greg, tell us about what your organization does, and maybe a little background on yourself if you want.
Sure, yeah. So I work at MPact. We're a global gay men's health and rights advocacy group based out of Oakland, California. And we're really here, this year focused on a lot of youth advocacy and creating new opportunities, new innovations in the field of sexual health that aren't just about HIV anymore, and that are talking about bigger issues that include criminalization and include securing rights for gay men across the globe.
Mm-hmm. But you're based in Oakland, but you do cover a global perspective, right?
Yeah, our work is primarily global. So our focus is we're actually funded through Elton John AIDS Foundation to do work in the sub-Saharan Africa and Caribbean regions. And our work there is mostly about capacity building of community-based organizations. So providing them the support that they need to get funding and get in the way of global funders. Yeah. So
my guess is that you're encouraged by the Elton John Foundation to instill others with the beliefs that you have, that certainly we all have probably, but that they can kind of go on their own at some point. They can, not depend on you as a crutch. Or
sure.
Just the leadership at this moment, when they get going and they get their legs, their activist legs going, then they're on their own.
Right. So that's sort of our add value is that the Elton John AIDS Foundation allows us to choose programs in these countries that we think can be built to be sustainable and self-sustaining. So not just temporary programs, not just providing people with services, but
those are limited. They just
exactly
they're not sustainable.
Right. You need to build these movements from the ground up, and you need to support these organizations to learn how to grow and build and turn their solutions into full-blown strategies to.
So how long has the organization changed names, or is it the same all along? Or
yeah, we used to be known as the Global Forum on MSM and HIV,
right.
Which was a very narrow focus,
right.
which was mostly about MSM, which is this very clinical term for men who have sex with men, and then HIV, which was our only real focus. But our work over the years sort of didn't reflect that anymore, and so we've switched to MPact and Global Action for Gay Men's Health and Rights. And the idea was really to, work in coalition with other groups. So we do a lot of work with sex worker networks, trans networks, people who use drugs, and other key populations affected by HIV.
And the conference is always a great meeting place and a place to have one-off meetings or other meetings with people who are collegial, who share your same values and scope and programs and whatnot. Do you do some of that here? Because you seem to have all the access to pretty much everybody that is anybody in the field of AIDS.
Yeah, I think, we use this conference as an opportunity to get our partners all together and in the same room, and to really think about, what the larger issues are and whether key populations and whether our communities are actually being addressed in the conversations that are happening here.
So my guess is also that you're taking it from like a harm reduction model, where they're at to where they need to go.
Sure.
Because everybody's on a different level, and also you have a capability in some countries to do certain things that you do and don't do in others, because they're limited by their governments and by their. But not to say you shouldn't push the government to change their policies, but you know what you can do and what you can't. And I know the one that Elton John funded in Russia. It was another panel. Were you at that?
At the ECO panel, yeah.
Yeah, they know what they have to do or what they can do. They can't be political because if they are, they're immediately considered a foreign agent, which is something they can operate with, but they'd rather not go there because it really isn't about what they are. They're about trying to help people with AIDS.
Right. Yeah, I think, there's conservatism on the rise in every part of the world right now, and I think I think the response to that has to be bold. I think you're right. We can skirt around the issues, and
somebody has to have the heavy hand, but others have to walk softly. And there's a way to make it. I think the whole thing I'm trying to say is that we want to get it done.
Right.
So how do we accomplish that? Whether it's push or pull or aggressive or not so aggressive or modestly or just nothing. And one organization is just going to do the good human rights work, and the other one's going to be the pusher.
Yeah, for me, that's where community is key. Because you can't know those things. You can't know what the situation is in Russia without talking to the people there
on the ground,
and without allowing them to create the interventions that they need, that they know that their communities will be able to get access to.
So do you have like a framework or models that you kind of tick off the check marks of what you can do, what you can't? In certain countries, it seems like it's a complex maze of diversity that just, there's no one country is exactly like another.
Sure.
Even within the same country, sometimes you have like St. Petersburg.
Or within communities.
Yeah, and even within communities.
Yeah.
So it's really like you have to learn and then identify and then catalog, and then you can use models and say, okay, this model worked here. Maybe that would work there too.
Yeah, definitely.
Or an iteration of it.
Right. I think if we think about some of the interventions that are really working in countries that are, like bigger models, these top-down AIDS Inc. kind of models of here's the money, like take the medicine, and everything will be okay. I think those don't work, and I think we've seen that. And I think that I think we know by now that there are other models that work, and so it's a matter of implementing those and allowing communities to take charge of that.
So what are your next steps? Are you I mean, you're obviously meeting with people here, and then when you go back home, you'll probably have to digest a lot of the information you got.
Right. Well, and they're bringing AIDS 2020 to our hometown of Oakland in 2 years.
Which, if we have the president we still have, if he's still in office, he will be a unexpected violator of the whole conference. I mean, I don't know what he could do. I mean, I couldn't imagine what he will come up with to make a score with the folks that he's emboldened to.
And when in 2012, when they brought the International AIDS Conference to Washington, D.C., it was a big step, and it was supposed to be a movement towards the U.S. moving forward in terms of human rights, and I think we've seen a big step back. And so there's the
even that one wasn't perfect, but it was, at least there was an energy in the right direction. This one's an energy in the wrong direction.
Right. So the question is whether the U.S. is a safe and accommodating space for us to hold something of this.
I don't think there's a question about that in my book. Okay. I really don't believe there's a question.
Good.
But I say for the moment, because I think our country is different than what we have leadership. But by the same token, I think Dazan hit a nail on the head. We have to really look for another venue and try to bolster their ability to hold a conference, because it has a lot to do with the country that's willing to invest some money in it as well.
And address the issues that are going to affect the people that this conference, says that they're trying to support. Are they really supporting people of color? Are they really supporting key populations of sex workers and people who use drugs?
And they won't use government formalities to keep people out of the conference.
Right.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you taking the time with me. It's been a pleasure, and I think we'll learn a lot. All of us do every one of these conferences, and I know that you're going to use the information you get very well, and look forward to what you put out. Thank you.